This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Mailbag / the preview and prediction show for Bash in Berlin that takes place by the time you listen to this tomorrow night. It's even though it's Thursday night right now, but Saturday afternoon or night or morning, depending on where you are on the globe, is going to depend on when you're going to be able to watch Bash in Berlin. But we're here to talk about the possible results, go match by match, but also answer your emails tonight as well. So let's get into it. But before we do, thank you, everybody who has decided to give us a 5-star rating. It is very much appreciated. I do enjoy the ones that give us a 1-star and like to give us a piece of their mind. But it I do appreciate those of you who also do support us genuinely. But those also who have joined us over at Patreon, I know there's a few of you who have joined over the last couple of days in response to the event coming up in Bash. So Jaden. Chulamanco, you'll very quickly find out here I'm not good at pronouncing names. So, Jaden, your last name, I can pronounce that. Shoddy Mac, thank you so much for joining us on Patreon. Thomason Poy, or Poe, I'm not sure. Thompson, Poe or Poy, I'm not sure which one is correct, but one of them, I would think. Thank you so much, guys. And if you want to join everybody here, Shoddy, you want to join Jaden, you want to join Thompson, and go on the Patreon side of things and go ad-free for 1 week without having to dish out a dime, then you can head out over to patreon.com/WWE podcast or go to Apple Podcasts or go to Spotify. There should be an ad-free option there too, and get yourself on there. But Patreon does offer a exclusive Discord server that you can use to chat with other patrons of the show and, more importantly, just WWE fans during the Bash in Berlin event, and it's always a good time. So, all right, let's get into it, guys. Let's get into the mailbag and start with a new patron, and this person's name is Your Mom's House. So, I love it. Okay. So he says, "Hey, Matt, just making conversation about your comment about Rhea fighting JD. I honestly think that both superstars match in strength, but in my opinion, Rhea has a big advantage on her reach. Love to hear what you have to say on the pod. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much, Your Mom's House." So what I'll say to that is, maybe in strength and actual like lifting weights in the gym, Rhea is absolutely stronger than most women and stronger than probably a small fraction of men. Is she stronger than JD in the gym? Can she bench press more than JD in the gym? I still doubt it, but she's probably on the very top tier of women in the world in strength. But even, let's just say for argument's strength, they're dead even in strength, right? Say JD and Rhea are dead even in strength. Here's the other problem, though. Being a man offers more physical advantages than just strength. Okay, so take that away from JD. Pretend they're even. It's a wash. Higher lung capacity, which means a better cardiovascular system. You're able to last longer. That's why you have men's and women's sports, because men have an inherent physical advantage. Muscle density. That's also a big thing. Tendons tend to be also just naturally stronger. So it's more than just strength. Speed is also another one. She may beat him on reach, but if we're talking about this being an actual fight that I'm supposed to believe, JD would still win. JD would still... I know many people don't believe that because Rhea is a stronger woman for women anyway, again. And she may compare to size with JD, but JD, I would put my money on JD if they were locked in an octagon. He would still kick her ass because he's a man And yes, not every man can beat every woman in the world. I'm not saying that. It's just a physical reality that I know some people don't want to live in, but it is one. More importantly than all of that, than laying out every reason why a man is physically superior to a woman when it comes to strength and speed and endurance, which is just true. Okay, it's not being sexist. It's just biology. Trust me, women have a lot more attributes in men than men do in some areas. So it balances out, which is great about the sexes. You know, that's what's great. We're a yin to yang. But more importantly than that, really just the most important point of all of this is I don't want the precedent being set that just because a man looks like Rhea could kick his ass, that all of a sudden Rhea just she's just suddenly facing men on a weekly basis. She suddenly just worked her way into the men's division. Suddenly she's challenging for the United States Championship. Suddenly she's challenging for the Intercontinental Championship. And this has actually happened in the past. In the Attitude Era of all places. If some of you are old enough to remember, the Attitude Era, when Chyna faced Jeff Jarrett and beat Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental title. It happened. So there is a precedent there. Chyna was a freak of nature. Joni Laurer, obviously, she had a tragic end, but that is not something I still would have done because it sets the precedent at a level that you don't want to go to, because all of a sudden, again, you're having men compete with women. It becomes normalized. We're all supposed to just buy into it, and I don't buy into it. That's the biggest problem I have with this. It's precedent. Women compete with women. Men compete with men. There's no need to try to blow up the system. Even if the woman looks like she could kick that man's ass, I don't care. That's not where I want to go. Because if we're going to play that game, what about a man suddenly competing for the women's title? I mean, we could get into all kinds of trouble here, right? Why is it a one-way street suddenly? But you know that Rhea Ripley is not going to take more than she's going to take 3 bumps or less, no punches, maybe a soft suplex, maybe somebody will move out of the way and she'll hit herself on the turnbuckle. There will be very minimal man-on-woman violence despite what Rhea Ripley does. She's lived through that through her whole career. She's been able to don that privilege of being a woman in 2024 on television, in which WWE is going to protect her because they have to. And women can just do what they want with no consequence, even though it's pro wrestling. It's not the UFC here. All right, let's continue. And we're going to go to Joel. And another patron says, "Hey, Matt, hope you're having a great week. Just wanted to say I was surprised how much I enjoyed the triple threat match with Pete Dunne, The Miz, and Xavier Woods. I thought The Miz looked great. I only wish that they would have pushed the story with Woods and Kingston a bit more and had Woods move on. It felt like they teased it a bit earlier in the show. If Woods had won, it would have caused more tension between the two, thus getting us closer to the glorious split of the Poo Day." Well, if you remember during the quick promo that Xavier cut, he talked about, he said nearly 10 years going strong. And the 10-year anniversary is coming up somewhat soon. The official 10-year anniversary of the New Day. And I think that's a perfect time to split them. Well, I agree. I thought Kofi and Xavier would both make it to the Fatal 4-Way. And then there'd be some tension there, but they didn't even take that road. But there's time. Thanks, Joel. Let's talk to DJ Kuzmo. He says, "Quick question. Is LA Knight issuing an open challenge for the U.S. Championship this Friday night? Since he's not going to be at Bash in Berlin this Saturday, and if he's issuing an open challenge, who could it be? I'm thinking probably AJ Styles might return, or maybe debuting a return of Giovanni Vinci, or maybe someone from Raw, who knows. Anyway, let's quickly get to the Bash in Berlin official predictions with no spoilers. So for you, Jade and Bianca versus the Unholy Union in the women's tag team titles. You think that Jade and Bianca get the victory so that creative has something to do with them or for them, since they are the main stars of this so-called women's tag team division, and they haven't been doing anything since losing the titles to the Unholy Union at Clash at the Castle. If there's any way for creative to build up a feud between the Jade and a heel Jade versus a face Bianca, I think it should start with them regaining the titles. As the storyline progresses, they have miscommunications and miscues in their matches and backstage segments. Finally, don't forget Naomi. Where does she fit in with this potential story? Does she and Jade turn on Bianca? Now, all good questions, DJ. You know, there is no tag team division for the women, or at least there is when they need their one to exist. And is there a heel Jade and face Bianca? I mean, I think that's the way they'll go. But I also don't mind it in reverse, where a heel Bianca versus a babyface Jade. Problem is, I don't think they're ready for that because Jade's not ready. Jade's just not ready. She will be, presumably at some point, but she's not quite there. She's certainly got the look, as I've mentioned many times, as we all can see. But boy, I mean, she does at times leave a lot to be desired in the ring, but she does show flashes of being really good. And then there's some stumbles, and I don't know if it's nerves or just needs more time, needs more minutes in the ring in front of a live crowd and not in the performance center or wherever she's training. You know, there's nothing like the live minutes in front of live fans. They'll be the first one to tell you that. You can't simulate that. Mixed tag team match, the Terror Twins versus Liv and Dirty Dom. You're thinking the Terror Twins get the win just for the continuation of this story. The Terror Twins need this win and some needed help against the New Judgment Day. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for the Undisputed Championship. Cody retains, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's kind of a slam dunk. There's just no way, right? CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in a strap match. All right, so you're predicting that Punk gets the victory here, as this is the rubber match between the two opponents heading into the highly anticipated Bad Blood finale in October. And fifth and finally, Gunther and Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. This has to be the main event in Berlin. Germany and I predict that Gunther retains, and maybe, just maybe, there'll be a third match heading into Bad Blood, since this matchup has gotten somewhat personal. Anyway, DJ Kuzma signing off. Enjoy Bash in Berlin. Have a great weekend. See you all in the Discord chat for Friday Night SmackDown and NXT No Mercy this Sunday. All right, we'll get to that Joe Hendry report, as always, in just a few moments. So, good stuff, DJ. I can't respond yet. I'll get to my predictions towards the end of the show. Now, let's get to Freeman, another patron. He says, I've had enough. It's time to say it. I'm completely over Jade and Bianca as a team. They need to disband and move on now. Even if I try to overlook Cargill's limited in-ring ability, her lack of charisma, her weak moveset, and how she drains all the fun out of Belair, it's too much to ignore. And believe me, that's a lot to overlook. But what I absolutely can't stand is the repetitive, stale formula of every match. Bianca starts off, she gets beaten down, she sells like crazy, hot tags to Cargill for the win. It's tired and it's uninspired. Jade is supposed to bring personality to the team, but instead this charisma vampire just repeats the same dance moves that even my 70-year-old mother does at weddings. Well, I mean, I can't disagree that they are very formulaic. Even their promos together are insufferable. Now, they are two very powerful women physically. Bianca has felt like she's taken a back seat for really kind of far too long at this point. And she's being the good foot soldier and helping out Jade. That's why she's with Bianca, also to give her the rub. But in real life, I'm sure learn from her. So there is a benefit in keeping them as a team. The problem is they're not going to split them up until they feel Jade is ready. I mean, I guess they could do a soft split. Not every team has to, every time they split, end in a rivalry or in a match. That does happen occasionally, but typically when teams or factions split up, it's meant to create new stars from said team or a faction, and it results in inter-war. But in this case, they could just split them softly, quietly. There's no actual bad blood, pun intended, I guess, between them, and they go their separate ways. But I'm sure that when they put this team together, they're thinking, all right, we're going to keep Jade and Bianca together for a while, and when we feel Jade's ready, they're going to split, and Jade and Bianca are going to have a rivalry and a match for a few months. Yeah, whenever that happens. I mean, you'd imagine it's a WrestleMania match, but from the looks of Jade Cargill, in the ring, I don't think she can really handle a match more than 6 or 7 minutes. One-on-one anyway. Not physically. She's certainly physically capable, but understanding the psychology and understanding there's more to WWE and pro wrestling than just look at my body, which she's gotten away with thus far because it is very impressive, but that will wear off. So, yeah, and again, their promos are just, they're bad. They're horrible. It's cringy. It's secondhand embarrassment bad. Bianca with her, her attitude and Jade with her little quips, and it's childish. And then, you have Bianca continuing to just strut to the ring, twirling her hair at 35 or 36, 37, however old she is. It's also embarrassing. She's done that even when she's not in the team, but it's getting worse. I don't know how. I know it's her thing. It's just what she does. But if we just take 2 seconds to think about how ridiculous that is and how it really just takes her character down, it pulls it down to a childish level by doing that. But she's on her own against the world, I guess is what her song says. All right. So I can already see it coming. Jade and Bianca will win the titles, and it's such a terrible move. I'm starting to believe Jade is beyond fixing and needs to be removed from the roster entirely. In their last few matches, Jade has either been protected in defeat or handed the win. They can't keep this up. And now, with Naomi being added to the mix, how long before Jade sucks the fun out of her too? When was the last time WWE pushed someone so bad they needed 2 people to protect them, yet still got a mega push? I'm done. All right, Freeman. Well, I think you have made your point very clear that Jade is would you call her a charisma, a vampire? What was a charisma vampire? All right. Well, so I can't fully agree with her being a charisma vampire. Again, I just slam both of the women here because together they're insufferable. They remind me a lot too of like the Miz and Morrison. They're just sometimes too jokey and too over the top. Not to that level, but that's kind of the chemistry I feel is Miz and Morrison. When that was one of the worst tag teams I've ever seen. But I understand your point, but Jade has a presence. Otherwise, they wouldn't have hired her. I mean, they see something apparently that you don't, maybe that a lot of us don't. I think they see her as a future main event star in the women's division. She's not nearly ready for a women's title. She clearly is not ready for any kind of long form match one-on-one. But as far as removing her from the roster, I mean, this is where I would implore you for patience. All right. I'm not saying that she's going to be the biggest star and just wait and see. She's going to main event WrestleMania this year. No. Far from it. She could, but I'm taking a middle of the road approach. I'm on the path of it's taking her longer than we would like. We are impatient as fans. We want everything now. If we see even the slightest sign of weakness or weaknesses in a personality or promo or in ring, that person immediately sucks. And I sometimes have that reaction too, and I need to pull myself back. I think, again, you have the right to feel this way. I'm not telling you how to feel, but I would implore you for a little more patience. All right. I would agree the team with Jade, as I said, Jade and Bianca are just terrible together in terms of just the feeling I get when I see them. Not that they don't have on-screen chemistry together or that they aren't both, particularly Bianca, an incredible athlete, and Jade does have a presence, but I just think patience might be your best course here. And what is the deadline? I mean, I don't have one in mind. I would say, if by this year's WrestleMania she doesn't have a singles match, yeah, then you might be time to be concerned. But to release somebody that looks like Cargill is really difficult to do because of her look. So, yeah, I mean, you can only get so far with that. And we'll have to see. They know clearly how much she's progressing more than we do because we only see her in-ring few minutes. Perhaps behind the scenes, maybe she's kicking ass. Maybe she is. They just haven't brought it out yet. It's possible. All right. Well, Freeman, take a breath. I do feel your pain. I understand it, though. I do get it. All right, Hungry Pup, let's go. He says, "Hi, Matt. Love your show, and I appreciate your perspective. Let's talk WWE logic. I'm fascinated about your view on things that, quote, take you out of the moment. For example, you brought up KO talking about segments and breaking the fourth wall. There are so many worse things out there. Like when someone runs into the turnbuckle and gets hurt when the victim gets out of the way. Or when someone does an Irish whip, then bends over waiting like an idiot. Or people diving into the rope to catch a 619 for Rey Mysterio. Do we really accept these but get annoyed when Cody uses the word heel? Yeah, so, here's the Hungry Pup. Okay, I can't deny that. I mean, everything you've said here are things that I've noticed, and I'm guessing that many of you who watch wrestling for any length of time can see. The 619, clearly they're diving to catch. I mean, really any dive that's done, suicide dive, moonsault, 619, the idea is to protect your opponent. And if you just look close enough, any kind of, diving maneuver, you'll see the opponent catch their opponent, right? Because the idea is safety. So that's with anything. That's just part of pro wrestling. The Irish whip, yeah, I mean, you can see that. It's like they're setting it up to help their opponent knock them over the ropes. That's something that can be kind of worked through. It doesn't take me out of the moment too much, but maybe it does for you. And the turnbuckle deal is, we've seen it so many times. I don't even like notice that one anymore because it's done so much with the running into the turnbuckle and get hurt. And, but here's the difference. That's the actual wrestling part, the physical part that can be tightened up. That does sometimes take a little bit of practice and conscientiousness to understand that does take people out of the moment. But that's easily fixable. The issue is when you verbalize something, you have a lot of control over what you say. What you say, I think, is more of a take me out of the moment, because wrestling is wrestling. You know what pro wrestling is. You know that it's not actually two people trying to hurt each other, when in fact it's actually a performance, and you're trying to make sure that your opponent doesn't kill themselves or get paralyzed, and they're trying to make sure the same for you. So there's that, and you're always going to see things in the match that don't look real, quote unquote, right? There are sometimes punches that are thrown that look horrible, right? That happens. That happens in every match. That's just part of the actual physical part of pro wrestling. But you don't need to blatantly, just completely say that, the segment's ending, guys. Let's continue on with the show. That's a different fourth wall take me out of the moment than the intricacies of a pro wrestling match itself. Because when you're speaking about it, you have a different part of your brain switched on than when you're watching a match. You can get into the match, but when a promo is being cut and you hear the person who we're supposed to believe is there to hurt an opponent or win a title or get revenge or whatever their motivation is, say, I better hurry before this segment ends. It's like, it's as if you're watching a movie in which the people in the movie aren't actually trying to hurt each other in real life. The good guys and the bad guys are shooting at each other. And you have the good guy saying, hold on, and they have him look at the camera. Imagine this in a movie. Have him look into the camera lens and say, hold on, guys, and have him look at his watch and be like, okay, I've got like 2 minutes. I hope I have time to go and try to pretend hurt my adversary here. Hold on. Before the intermission, give me like 2 minutes to go and try to attack my opponent, and then we'll come back after the intermission. That's the same thing. That's way worse. It's way worse to me. Because again, the pro wrestling part, the actual physical part, it can be tightened up. It can be tightened up, and the words, I think, are a little bit more intentional. And it's, to me, I know Kevin Owens is trying to relate to the fans and all that, but I don't know what the hell he was thinking there. I didn't like it. And Cody, I mean, I'm just going to ignore the Cody part, because I'm going to try to go a show without completely losing my mind over his character. I'm going to try. My brain is starting to go that road, so let's move on. All right, Kay. Another patron here says, I think you're a patron. If you're not, you're No, I think you are. All right. Well, we'll go to Kay and then we'll go to Dino. So Kay says, thank you for reading my reviews. Friday Night SmackDown was a bore. A few good spots. Though in my humble opinion, Cody with those 2 jackasses done. Number 2, not enough Tiffy time, but something is brewing with Chelsea Green. You could possibly see them turn on Piper and Nia. Number 3, Bloodline. So repetitive with outside interference. Number 4, LA Knight is good. Number 5, lots of filler. Yeah, SmackDown, again, it wasn't something that you're going to remember forever. It wasn't an all-time great episode. In fact, the majority of SmackDown episodes and Raw episodes you watch are forgettable. Like ones that you couldn't tell me if your life depended on it, what happened in detail on SmackDown like a month ago. You just can't. You may remember big moments, big storyline advancements, that kind of thing. But most of what you watch in wrestling isn't this crazy, you'll just forget. It's buried somewhere in your brain, but you can't recall it. Most people can't. Okay, Monday Night Raw. Not one of the best, but some cool things. The Terror Twins and JD feud. The Wide Six and American Made is awesome. Strowman and Bronson, I loved. Had a 90s feel to it. I would agree with that. RKO versus Gunther on Saturday is going to be awesome in Berlin. Drew and CM Punk, predictable. Rest so-so. Thanks again, Matt. Looking forward to BIB. Bash in Berlin. You're looking forward to BIB on Sunday. Oh, gosh. The acronym for Bash in Berlin is BIB. I don't know. That's probably not on purpose. All right, everybody. Enjoy BIB. It sounds horrible. All right, Kay. Thank you. Let's go to Dino. And then we'll have one more email and get to the Joe Henry report. So Dino says, hey, it's Dino from Scotland. Let me hear you say yeet. Now, before I get to my main point, which will be my quick fire predictions for Bash, as usual, here are my quick fire bullet points. Oh, see everything. Okay, you got quick fire predictions and quick fire bullet points. All right, let's do it. So this is going to be rapid fire. In reply to your week in review question on the chokeslam, they should absolutely bring it back. It's a household move. People who don't even watch wrestling know what a chokeslam is. Yeah, that's a good point. A chokeslam, even if you don't know what or not familiar with the WWE product at all, you hear chokeslam, you just somehow know. Everyone seems to know what the hell that is. Or a suplex. You know, again, even if you're not a fan of pro wrestling at all, you haven't watched pro wrestling a day in your life, you just know what a suplex is. You know? It's like you haven't, even anybody that hasn't ever seen a baseball game in their life at all knows what a home run is. It's kind of like the same thing with a suplex or a chokeslam. And I think the chokeslam is sorely underutilized and should be used as a finish. Now, I know Damian Priest has South of Heaven. It's like, to me, not really a chokeslam. Like, it's like a pseudo chokeslam, sit down power bomb. Like, I like his finish. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crapping on Damian's finish. I'm just saying a proper Kane/Undertaker chokeslam, I think Rhea Ripley could take. I understand she has Riptide. That's fine. She could keep it. But I really do believe with Rhea's size, it's totally believable for her to take the chokeslam finish and use it and make Riptide her signature. Just my 2 cents. For those who will be in attendance for Bash in Berlin, you must be pissed. You're probably not going. You're not getting Roman. I know in Scotland and France we didn't, but we knew there was no chance because he was on the shelf and wasn't actually active at the time. So I feel for you. Yeah, this is another Roman-less PLE. I continue to say, if you hated Roman's schedule even when he was a heel, I don't think much is changing when he's a babyface. We're so far getting exactly what we thought we would with Roman. So, sorry, Germany. I do feel for you. If you bought the tickets thinking that Roman's going to be there, my deepest sympathies. It's still possible, I guess, but think about the next PLE. Bad Blood. What better name for Bad Blood? What better feud for Bad Blood than Roman and Solo? I mean, that Bad Blood event is perfect for a lot of storylines that are shaping up, right? Drew and Punk, likely the rubber match. Solo and Roman. Potentially Cody and Randy. I don't know, just some thoughts here. But, all right. I know there were a couple of botches, but how good were the LWO on Raw? There were some pretty cool moments. I don't think we get to see them compete enough. They have the ability to put on a banger. Yeah, they do, but they're, I think not exactly a priority for the company. They're used when they need a good match and to occasionally compete for a tag title. But yeah, they do have more in them than we have seen as of late, but it just showed on Raw what they can do and reminded us what they're capable of. I would agree. Is it just me, or does the music for American Made seem a bit generic or basic? Yeah, it does. I mean, it's got a bit of Braun Breaker feel to it. It's just kind of like there should be more to it. I also think that there's a bit of a syndrome going on in pro wrestling right now that's been going on for a few years that we're all guilty of, or rather have contracted this disease, that every song must be catchy, that every entrance music must have a lingering effect to it, that it's got some kind of sing-along ability. Now, for a heel, I understand you don't usually want that, although sometimes it lends itself to happen. Like Seth Rollins, who has had this music. I think he had it even before he was a babyface, and people are still singing along to it. So sometimes it organically happens. But, not every single team or every single individual has to have that kind of sing-along ability. And we're conditioned to think that the quality of the entrance music should be up to where Cody Rhodes is, or Sami Zayn is, or Roman Reigns is, right? Randy Orton, and so on. The sing-along thing is kind of the new cool thing that fans do. All right. I mean, look, again, Randy even mentioned it on was Raw? SmackDown? Or Randy Raw. That took 15 years to sing along to his song. Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman was amazing and so enjoyable. One of my favorite matches of the year so far. I can't speak highly enough of this match and want to see it again. This was just great, man. Really good. I would agree that it completely exceeded my expectations and most people's expectations for what we thought this was going to be. I mean, when was the last time we saw a parking lot brawl like that? Now, we saw a little bit of Ricochet getting ricocheted all over the place before he left, but this was a true parking lot brawl. It felt like a video game. Did it not? Like one of those insane video game moments, crashing onto cars and off of scaffolding and all that kind of stuff. And this is just crazy. I mean, some of the bumps, like I told you, that bump that Bronson Reed took off the car onto the concrete. How he doesn't have a separated shoulder or a broken clavicle, I mean, I don't know. I understand falling from the hood of a car to the pavement isn't exactly that high, but when you have pavement as the place that stops your fall, you don't need to fall very far to do considerable damage. So that was just, oh my God. I know, again, it wasn't very dramatic, but watch it. Oh my God. All right. I thought Uncle Howdy had a solid debut on Raw, and Bo himself seems to have improved a lot in the ring, at least to the extent of, like you said the other week, even if he isn't great on his character, more than makes up for it. Boy, do I get goosebumps every time the Wyatt Six is on. Yeah, I mean, just because of Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt lives through this group, and they are a tributary group, and they are based in reality, and Bo just looks so much like his brother. It's crazy. Okay, let's go to your, let's see. Let's see on your bullet points. Lastly, it's back to great start times this weekend. We're over here in Scotland, only an hour behind Germany. WWE Live at a decent time is great, I have to say. Here are my quick predictions. The Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, will retain, thus hopefully meaning that WWE is finally taking the women's tag team belts seriously. One can only hope. Cody will retain against KO, which will probably be the easiest one to predict if we're being honest. Liv and Dom will win with help from the Judgment Day. The CM Punk win only as this isn't the last match between these two, so got to give Punk the win here to conclude at Bad Blood. I can't see Drew winning all three, and you'll probably see, as you previously mentioned, hopefully there is a final match at Bad Blood inside Hell in a Cell, which will be carnage, chaotic, brutal, gruesome, just a complete banger. With Drew winning, thus putting an end to the rivalry 2-1 in Drew's favor. Finally, I think Gunther retains, but wouldn't mind Randy Orton shocking the world and walking out new World Heavyweight Champion. The last thing I'd like to add is that Gunther versus Randy should be the main event, as Gunther, although not at home, is going to feel like the one on home soil. Boring-ass Cody and KO can open the show. Speak to you next week. Let me hear you say yeet. Well, Dino, thank you so much. Again, you'll hear my predictions in a few moments. Okay, this is a final email. Very, very, very quick. From Robert. And Robert says, Dominic should come out 1 week, and the first thing he should say is, let's hear it for America's first responders. That is a great way to troll the fans. Get the fans to boo something that no one should boo or would boo. That's a sane, morally, not a morally debased person. To boo the first responders, right? Like, come out and say, let's hear it for everyone that died in 9/11, right? And before the people would realize, whoa, they'd already be booing. Of course, they wouldn't use that. That would be extreme and give a lot of negative attention to WWE. But you get my drift. And that's a good point, Robert. Have them put Dom out there and say something really quick that would make them look stupid for booing. I like it. Very, very clever, Robert. All right, let's get to the Joe Hendry report very quickly and see what's on it this week.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take it to my 7th episode of the Joe Hendry Report. But before we get to the encore performance of Joe Hendry live and in concert last night on NXT, I must talk about some breaking news, some exciting news on my part in regards to Joe Hendry. Now, 2 weeks ago, I did miss the opportunity to meet Joe Hendry in person in Queens, New York at Mario's Pizzeria and Restaurant. But now it's 2 weeks later, and I thought, wait a minute. What if Joe Hendry made another appearance in New York City? Of course, it's New York City. It's one of the most popular cities in the world. He has to show up, right? So all I had to do was say his name. And then one day I checked on Instagram, and lo and behold, I saw that he's doing another event in New York City. And all I did was say his name. So on Sunday, September 29th, House of Glory Wrestling presents Believe in the Glory, and that is none other than Joe Hendry will be on that show, and I will be in attendance because as soon as I saw that pop up on my Instagram feed, I bought my ticket right away because I had to jump on this opportunity to hopefully meet Joe Hendry in person and most likely get an autograph, get a picture, and whatever opportunity may show and present itself, I want to be there to see Joe Hendry in person. So yours truly, DJ Kuzmo, will be going to his first indie show, Believe in the Glory, Sunday, September 29th in New York City Arena in Queens, New York. And let's see what happens. I'm just so excited. I get to see my idol. I get to see the living legend himself. The people that everybody loves, that everybody listens to his music and says his name. Joe Hendry will be in Believe in the Glory. House of Glory Wrestling presents on Sunday, September 29th in New York City Arena. I'm so excited. I'm pinching myself. I can't believe it. I wish it was Sunday, September 29th this weekend. I know I'm so excited, but let's kind of dial it back down as we go to NXT. Now, last night on NXT, of course, it was the encore live and concert performance of Joe Hendry, this time as he was making fun of Ethan Page. And he was saying stuff like, Ethan sucks, believe in Joe. Ethan, put on some clothes. Ethan sucks, believe in Joe. Ethan, Put on some clothes. It was a catchy song that the crowd was just going along to as Joe Hendry was singing this song. Very creative, very catchy, and here comes Ethan Page as he is absolutely annoyed about this song and absolutely hates the fact that Joe Hendry is the #1 contender to face him for the NXT Championship this coming Sunday at NXT No Mercy. But then lo and behold, here comes the general manager of NXT, you know, The Rock's daughter, for those that doesn't watch NXT. The Rock's daughter is the general manager of NXT, Ava. She comes in and makes an announcement that we're going to have a guest referee, and that is none other than Trick Williams. He will be the guest referee. So there is the possibility, my friends, that Joe Hendry will become the new NXT champion this Sunday, because we got Trick Williams as the guest referee. We got the crowd that's going to be chanting Joe Hendry, we believe, we believe. So there's no chance that Ethan Page is going to retain. It has to be Joe Hendry. As we saw this past Sunday in AEW with Bryan Danielson finally winning the AEW championship, we could see something similar to this coming Sunday at No Mercy with none other than Joe Hendry becoming the new NXT champion. We believe, do you believe, like John Cena, like Cody Rhodes, and a host all of other professional wrestlers that believe in Joe Hendry? This is the time. I will be in the Discord this coming Sunday to witness this moment. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss this main event of none other than Ethan Page versus Joe Hendry for the NXT Championship. And this will be the next chapter in Joe Hendry's career. Now, with that being said, always remember to believe, say his name, and most importantly, do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay easy, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, I'm excited for you, man. A month from today, you will be meeting Joe Hendry. So it's true. All the rumors are true. What Joe Hendry himself says is true. All you have to do is say his name. That's been the magic formula from the beginning. I got to try that. Too bad other things aren't like that. I could get really inappropriate right now, but I won't. It's a family-friendly-ish show. But use your imagination. It's just, that's it. You've unlocked the puzzle. You've solved the mystery. And I'm really excited for you at September 29th. But thank you for the update on the Joe Hendry goings-on over in NXT for those of us that don't watch. And again, the ratings do pull out that most of us don't watch. So I appreciate that, keeping us up to date on what's going on, as he eventually will make his inevitable main roster debut, potentially at the Royal Rumble. That's kind of what I'm eyeing. You know, even if he doesn't stay on the main roster, it could be just kind of a quick one-off, as Braun Breaker did a couple of times before he finally made his landing, solidified landing on the main roster. But that's what I'm eyeing for Joe Hendry, is the Royal Rumble. Probably do a massive pop. And thank you for that, DJ, and I appreciate it. One thing that for some reason you triggered me, DJ. I don't know how this triggered in my mind, but I just saw on TikTok that there is something that Stone Cold Steve Austin did say recently about his absence at WrestleMania 40 and the reason why he didn't show up. So take a listen to this. I'll do the best I can, because I'm giving the audio through my phone into my microphone, so it's not going to be the top quality, but you should be able to get the gist of this. So take a listen to what Austin said about WrestleMania 40 and 41.
This past WrestleMania was the 40th anniversary, and there was a moment with The Rock and Cody Rhodes. You know, Rock with his heel turn, Cody Rhodes is bleeding, and in one of the trucks, your face was popping up. And with the new storytelling with Triple H, there was a lot of Marvel-esque theories that, oh, that means Stone Cold is going to appear. Of course, that wasn't the case. I have to ask you, how close was that to happening?
Oh, it was close, and they certainly reached out to me. We had conversations, but my wife and I had some things going on that I didn't need to go to Philly at that time. And but I have said I miss that Mania, and God dang, Philly was a good town for me back in the day, and I appreciate those fans. We couldn't make it down on that one, but WrestleMania this year is in Vegas. And I was doing an interview a while back, and I said, "Hey, man, and that's 400 miles. That's that's like right here where we're sitting, right down the road.
We're 3 miles away from Allegiant Stadium.
And I'm fixing to drive back to Reno in my buggy. And so, but anyway, it'll be in Vegas. So I hope to be there this year."
All right, so you heard it right from Stone Cold Steve Austin. This was, I'm trying to find the source of this. This is somebody that retweeted it or re-TikToked it or reposted, I guess is what you call it on TikTok. So people are really speculating. I mean, Austin said it himself just recently that he is going to be trying to get to WrestleMania 41, and he said that, something with his wife, we couldn't make it down. I mean, whatever. Do I particularly believe that? No, I don't. I don't think it's true. I think it did come down to money, and he has to come up with something. From all the reports we heard, it was money, and that it didn't think that what they were giving him was what he deserved. Those were the initial reports that were all over the place. It wasn't just me and my own brain. I mean, this was on major sites as well. Not everything you see, of course, is true, but it tends to make sense instead of just, it's my wife, because he comes up with a completely different reason. Because guess what? If he had said, yeah, we couldn't come to financial terms, well, then he looks like a jerk. For what came down to money, you couldn't come to Mania because you weren't getting paid enough. So he looks like the jerk, and he knows that. So, particularly, do I care? No. But he essentially said, I'm going to be there at WrestleMania 41 if they'll have me. I will be there, and this time I'm not going to miss it. And is there a stunner in The Rock's future? Oh, hell yeah. I think that's another reason why The Rock needs to stay heel, is for this absolutely necessary stunner on The Rock. Needs to happen. Is it going to be against Cody Rhodes, or is Austin going to do it when Rock faces Roman at 41? Which one is it? We don't know yet. But you heard it here, guys. If you haven't checked it out, I don't know what damn podcast that was, because it was somebody who reposted it, and they didn't tell me who the original post was. But you can still look it up. Looks like Austin's going to be at WrestleMania 41 in Vegas. Makes me more tempted than ever to buy tickets there and venture on over in late April. But anyway, that's going to conclude it here for the mailbag portion of the show. It's time to move on to my official predictions for Bash in Berlin. Let's start off with the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not messing around. We'll go in reverse here. The World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Randy Orton. This has been a rivalry that has been, kind of out of nowhere, like an RKO. Randy Orton was on Raw, and they clearly didn't have a big enough person for Gunther to face at the Bash in Berlin event, so they had to pull Randy Orton from SmackDown. Still no explanation as to how or why that happened. Somebody from SmackDown comes over and is able to just compete for the top belt on that brand. Again, I continue to be a stickler on that, when no one else seems to give a damn. But this matchup should be a lot of fun. I expect Ludwig Kaiser to get involved, maybe even be the reason that Orton loses. He'll get an RKO. Gunther will get an RKO. Ultimately, Randy Orton's not winning this matchup. But if it's the main event, you wonder, are there any tricks up the sleeve here? Is anything happening? Are there any big possible returns? I mean, is it too crazy to think that Brock Lesnar could be the guy that comes out at the end and just comes face to face with Gunther? Is it too insane to think that? I'm just trying to come up with something that might shock the world. Again, I give that like a 4% chance. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It's not my prediction. I fully expect Gunther as the babyface to be the one to stand tall, even though it's not in his home country. Okay, Germany is not Austria. That's why they have two different names for the two different countries. But I've said that before, and whatever, they just made Germany Gunther's home country now, but whatever. So the crowd should be, I don't think it'll be as anti-Randy as a lot of people think. I think it'll be still Gunther 60-40 against Randy, but it's not going to be overwhelming boos for Randy Orton, because Randy Orton's a beloved star. Germany, when's the last time Germany on a PLE has seen Randy Orton compete? The fans are going to be elated to see him. It's going to take conscious effort to boo Randy Orton. So I don't think it'll be as overwhelming. It's not going to be like, RVD and John Cena at ECW's One Night Stand in 06. I think it's going to be a Gunther favorite from the crowd, but not crazy overwhelming. And Germany, please, I implore you. And I know this is going to fall on deaf ears, and it goes against the culture of Germany. So, I mean, you guys do what you want, but from the viewing perspective at home, the majority of fans have no idea what you're chanting if it's not in English. Even if it is in English, the accent is sometimes tough to sift through. Please keep the chants that have nothing to do with wrestling to a minimum. All right, that's the orders coming down from the WWE podcast. So you better follow them, or else. All right, that's an order. Not even suggesting it anymore. That's a demand. All right. As I completely endear myself to the country of Germany here. But hey, I mean, you guys do what you want. I mean, I know it's WWE. It's all about volume. Just how many decibels do we have? How many decibels do we have, Trips? Oh, we're at 100 decibels. Well, what are they actually saying? Well, who cares? It's just the amount of decibels. To them, it's all about decibels and not actually what's being chanted, which is not telling the whole story. I look at it much differently. But anyway, Undisputed Championship, Cody Rhodes and KO. Yeah, I mean, I expect these two as total professionals, two absolute pros, to have a physical match, likely one that challenges Kevin Owens to turn to the dark side. Perhaps the referee gets knocked down as he does in every Undisputed Championship match since its inception. And there's opportunities for Kevin Owens to turn to the dark side. Again, the referee gets accidentally knocked down. A chair is somehow laying in the ring. Does he decide to use it? Does he not? There's going to be moments when KO gets tempted with the dark side. And I think that's the story here. Not is Kevin Owens going to win. I hate to say that with every Kevin Owens title match that he has no chance to win, but every one he's had so far, he's had no chance to win, and this won't be any different. But I think that's the story they'll tell, is teasing KO turning heel, with ultimately KO retaining. Or I'm sorry, Cody Rhodes retaining. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins, versus Dom and Liv, mixed tag team match. This one, to me, fun. I absolutely expect the Judgment Day in full to be there and to try to screw Rhea and Damian. I think Rhea and Damian will come out on top. Will Rhea finally get her hands on Dominic? Probably. I think maybe that she'll finally get that payoff and she can move on to facing Liv for the Women's Championship at Bad Blood. That's what I think. So, and Damian Priest, maybe he gets his South of Heaven on Finn Balor. That's the payoff there too. All right, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in a strap match. I'm with everybody else here. I think CM Punk wins to even it, to go to Bad Blood. It's a perfect rivalry in a perfectly named PLE for Bad Blood. This is going to end at Hell in a Cell. There's just no two ways about it. Now, could Solo and Roman do Hell in a Cell? I guess they could, but CM Punk and Drew, I think, is even more heated than Roman and Solo. This one has certainly been boiling over for a lot longer as well. The intensity, the violence has gotten to a crazy level. CM Punk and Drew, I expect a lot of welts to be created on both men's backs and stomachs and legs and everything else. A lot of welts, maybe even blood through the skin, which is, that's hard to do, but they're going to break blood vessels. It's going to be a brutal match, and one that I think ultimately CM Punk will win to lead to Bad Blood, potentially Hell in a Cell. I just don't know how you bring back Bad Blood and don't do Hell in a Cell. That's what Bad Blood was known for, was the very first Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker in 97. But that's how I think. I think ultimately it's going to be, are there going to be any big surprises? in terms of returns, probably not. Probably not. Oh, I'm sorry. The Women's Tag Team Championships. How could I possibly forget? Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Bianca and Jade. This one's kind of tough. I could see Bianca and Jade winning this. I'm with you guys. They probably will. And this will be the setup for Jade and Bianca to eventually split down the line. Yeah, that's my guess. And I honestly would keep them as champions because it helps legitimize the belts more than they otherwise would be. And it gives the team of Jade and Bianca, especially more importantly Jade, time in the ring. She needs time in the ring. She needs minutes in the ring, as I said. So more minutes in the ring should equate to long-term success. And that's hopefully what the idea is here. On the other hand, there's an argument to be made for the unholy union keeping the belts and having Jade and Bianca just softly go their separate ways with no rivalry, no turn yet. I mentioned that earlier too. There is a solution where you could have Bianca and Jade split, but there's no attack, no one turns heel. They just kind of quietly go their own ways. That does happen. And then they explore the rivalry later. So that's also a possibility. This is a really difficult match to pin down who's going to win. And of every match on the card, this is the one that you just look at and go, yeah, I'm staying away from that when it comes to betting on it. Stay away from it. Keep your money away from this match. So that'll do it. Again, guys, thank you so much. If you want to join us on Patreon and get an ad-free experience throughout your Bash in Berlin weekend, you can do that at patreon.com/WWE podcast. Or on Apple Podcasts, there's an ad-free button there. Both of those options allow you to go a week for free. That means all of Bash in Berlin's reviews and Monday Night Raw and next week's Mailbag will all be ad-free if you try us for a week. And if you don't like us, no problem. Just continue to listen to the free feed. If you do, it's $1 to start to get into the ad-free world. And it's only up in benefits from there, including exclusive shows. You can even come on the show if you get up in tier high enough. So it's a pretty good deal if you want to join us there on Patreon. I would really appreciate it. We also have another show, another podcast, totally unrelated to wrestling that I continue to plug. It's called The War on Truth, not wrestling related, heavily in politics and culture. So I'll leave it at that. That's all I'll say. It's the podcast logo that has a laptop and an American flag. There is another one out there called The War on Truth that hasn't been updated in like 4 years. Not me. Okay. That's not me. There are two out there, but mine is the laptop and American flag logo. We have 3 episodes. I just published one last night too. So I'll just say that it's called The War on Truth. All right. I'd appreciate a listen on that if you like it. If not, no problem. You love wrestling and you only want to talk wrestling, well then stick right here as we will have wall-to-wall Bash in Berlin coverage. We'll be doing a review show probably on Sunday because the PLE is on Saturday. If I have time on Saturday, I'll do it Saturday night, but I likely won't have the time to watch it until Saturday night, so it'll probably be Sunday. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Take care. Enjoy Bash. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.